If you've completed a program of study at a designated learning institution in Canada, then you may be eligible for a post-graduation work permit, otherwise known as a PGWP. Graduates holding a PGWP in Canada can stay in the country to work full-time, work part-time, or be self-employed. A PGWP is valid for a minimum of 8 months to a maximum of 3 years. The length of your permit will depend on the length of the study program you completed in Canada. Officers will look at the length of your program of study in Canada using supporting documents for confirmation to determine how long a PGWP will be valid. A PGWP can't be valid longer than your passport. Make sure your passport is valid for the entire length of the time you should be eligible for. If your passport expires earlier, the Canadian government will only issue you a PGWP that's valid until your passport expires and tell you if you need to extend it to get the full validity. If you need to extend or change the conditions on your PGWP, you must apply on paper, not online. You can only extend your PGWP if your passport expires. If your program is less than 8 months, you aren't eligible for a PGWP. If your length of study is at least 8 months and less than 2 years, you may be given a PGWP that's valid for up to the same length as your study program. For example, if you've completed a 9-month program, you may be given a work permit for up to 9 months. If your length of study is 2 years or more, you may be given a PGWP that's valid for 3 years. If you completed more than one program within 2 years, you may be able to get a PGWP that combines the length of each program. Keep in mind that each of the programs you completed must be PGWP eligible and at least 8 months in length. You can't receive a PGWP if you already had one after completing an earlier program of study. Prior to COVID-19, all distance learning courses completed outside of Canada were excluded from the time accumulated towards the length of the post-graduation work permit, and 50% of a student's courses needed to be completed in Canada and in person. However, the following temporary policy changes have been made to accommodate eligible international students who have completed distance learning outside of Canada. Now, let's go over these temporary policy changes. Firstly, full facilitation measures. If you're enrolled in a PGWP eligible program in March 2020 or started a program of study between March 2020 and August 31st, 2022, you're not required to complete 50% of your program or programs of study in Canada. Up to 100% of your program can be completed online from outside of Canada. For the above group of students, time spent studying outside of Canada can be counted towards the overall length of the PGWP until August 31st of 2023. Secondly, reduced facilitation measures. If you started or will start a program of study between September 1st, 2022 and August 31st, 2023, you are required to complete at least 50% of your program or programs of study in Canada. For the above group of students, up until August 31st in 2023, time spent studying outside of Canada will be counted towards the overall length of the PGWP only if it makes up less than 50% of your program. After August 31st in 2023, any time you spend studying outside of Canada will be deducted from the length of your PGWP, regardless of when you started or when you will start your program of study. You should submit your application for a PGWP within 180 days of receiving an official letter or transcript from a DLI confirming you've completed your program of study. The 180 days begins when final marks are released or a formal written notification of program completion is received. Whichever is first. You can apply for a PGWP from within Canada if you have either a valid study permit, a valid visitor record if you switched to visitor status before your study permit expired or maintained status, work authorization after submitting a PGWP application. For applications made before a study permit expires, you can work full-time while waiting for a decision, even after departing and returning to Canada. If you either had a valid study permit at the time of your PGWP application, finished your program of study, met the requirements for working off campus without a work permit, or did not exceed the allowable hours of work. As of November 15th of 2022 and continuing throughout 2023, international students with off-campus work authorization on their study permit can work off-campus for more than 20 hours per week during their studies. This only applies to those who applied for their study permit before October 7th of 2022. But it suggests that Canada might be open to relaxing work hour limits in the future too. Due to COVID-19, Canada has also introduced a temporary public policy, so eligible PGWP holders can apply for a new open work permit that will be valid for up to 18 months. This public policy will be in effect until December 31st of 2022. If your PGWP has expired or will be expiring between September 20th of 2021 and December 31st of 2022, you'll be considered under this public policy. Spouses and common law partners of PGWP holders may be eligible for an open work permit under the C41 exemption. Have more questions about the PGWP or anything else about studying abroad? Visit the link below to reach out to us today. Apply Board's experienced team is here to help. Thanks for watching and subscribe for weekly videos.